these cramped conditions.
Hey, there's nothing worth finding out, Foxy. The only way we will make her stop barking is if you let her get in her spot. Foxy, please, just let her get in her spot.
But the challenge is getting them out without letting them disintegrate. To examine this find, leading pharaonic textiles expert Dr. Elise Van Rouge. Dr. Shalom.
Oh man, apparently we have dog nappers here in the park.
What?
Well, Smiley disappeared for 5 days while Warren was watching him. Heidi got really pissed about that, even though she was 5 states away or whatever. Wouldn't be able to do anything without Warren having watched them. But the other day, I'm looking out the window up at the greenhouse up there. There's 2 little dogs that live there that are out occasionally, and I see a little dog, you know, taking a dump, doing the...
Yeah.
And it looks a little like Smiley. He's got his tail up. He's the right colors, you know. And I'm going, well. So I open the door and I yell, "Hey, Smiley!" And he turns his head. I go, "Smiley, come here!" And he did not know if he couldn't, you know, from where he is. He didn't
exactly
see. He did not see me in there, but he hauled ass down the road and went straight to Warren's place.
Awesome.
And went and just ran in the door while Warren was talking to somebody else. And so Heidi was coming home that evening, and
so he took a vacation.
yeah,
Dogs do that.
well, someone deliberately took his collar. His collar's still there, but his tags are gone. And so here's the other thing. Now Heidi has, and Warren watched this happen out his window. Smiley's in the yard running around. Some dude comes along, you know, hoodie, whatever, and kind of reaches over to pet Smiley and is going like this when Heidi comes out and goes, "Smiley, come here!" And it was probably the same
person that had grabbed him before.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is Smiley?
He's like mix between a beagle and a small bulldog. He's not a breed or anything.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I certainly won't be having any more trouble with it. You know, once the lady came here and gave me shit about the dogs, and I called the home office. You know, they took everything off, and nobody said anything since. And obviously, I won't have any more problems. I just got so many things to, rethink, learn how to think different. You know, it's like, fuck, I can put food anywhere I want. I haven't been able to put food anywhere I want for 28 years. 28 years.
Almost half your life.
Close enough.
Yeah.
It's a big empty.
Many American athletes commented that they have never been so well treated at home. He keeps his mouth shut.
And it was all, dogs were the major raison d'etre of so many events. There were dogs that had to have a place to live, which is one of the reasons I ended up at the Hill.
I was thinking today that they're leaving us to make it easier to go to the next place that we're supposed to go to. I'm pretty sure that we're all supposed to move to Colorado, but that it would be really hard for them to go to Colorado.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I also, know they will come back. We
Right,
just have to watch for them.
right.
I'm really hoping I was demonstrated the principle late last year when I didn't take that dog, so that I would be much more aware of how a shit like that could happen, because it could have been Buck. Could have easily been Buck.
Right.
But because I didn't take him, I don't think it was.
Right.
Because if it would have gone the other way. But it was the signpost that says, this is how they come back. Be aware. And I am now better than I was.
Right. Dogs tend to show up in my life. The one dog that I went and sought out did not work out. He left.
Of course it
He
did.
went and got another place. He found where he was supposed to go. Maybe my part in his life was to get him nearer where he needed to be.
Yeah.
Because he had started out as a stray in Independence. And then, because he was part Golden Retriever, the Golden Retriever rescue people had taken him down to Peculiar. But the person that he was looking for was in Lawrence. So he needed somebody to take him to Lawrence. And so that's why he was my dog temporarily. But he did not like where he was. And because of things that were happening in my life, I had to leave him with Joe. And I told him I would be back in 3 months. And when I wasn't, he left. I mean, seriously, 3 months. I said, I will be back in 3 months. I promise I will be back in 3 months. And I was gone for 3 months and 2 weeks. And in that 2 week period of time, he went. Joe had gotten him to where he could let him out. He would come back to the door and stuff. And one day he just didn't come back. And I know that I saw him a few months later. He was being walked by some, older woman, and that was where he needed to be. He didn't like men. He was scared of men. Somebody had hurt him. Somebody had beat him with a broom and done bad things and yelled at him, and he didn't like Joe's voice. Joe's voice scared him. He would go and hide underneath he would get up underneath the covers and go hide under the covers. Dogs don't like to have cloth over their heads. They will work to get the cloth off of their head. Not Ozzy. He would seek it out. He would get up under the covers. And when I was gone too long, he just said, okay, that's it. I'm out of here. And he went and found the person he was supposed to be with. We never found it. Joe looked for weeks. He never found a body. Joe was really good friends with the woman that ran the Humane Society. And, she was like the first person he called and said, if this dog comes in. And, Ozzy had a collar. He had tags on and everything. The person that found him just, knew that he was her dog.
Yeah. Spooky.
Yeah. They're...
I never, in 4 years, had a discussion about anywhere, anytime. The fact is that in arms control, there is no country anywhere on this planet that has anywhere, anytime. There's no such standard within arms control inspections. And the intelligence community has made it clear to us, as they did before we signed on to this deal, that we would be able to know what they are doing during that intervening period of time.
But they were on record saying that.
President Obama said it. He said we were going to go after anywhere inspections. Not only that, there was
You need to
another
go out?
issue with Moniz where Chris
Is
Wallace
that
said,
what you
"We
would
were
like?
here's 15
Okay,
people
okay.
that the Iranians can
Let me get my
enrich
headphones
uranium
off.
to bomb
I
them.
know. I'm coming. I'm coming to let you out. Okay.
Wallace put it back to us and said, where is that? Because it doesn't, I don't wait to see it anywhere in the deal. And Moniz says, well, they promised to do that. Now, if you listen carefully, basically what they have a deal for 10 years,
Hi,
possibly
Foxy
up to
boss.
15 years. After that, Katie barred the door. The Iranians can do whatever the heck they want. They will have bombs and massive amounts of bombs. And the administration, those two guys right there, are banking on Iranians holding their quote promise. Not even in writing, just a promise they want to enrich uranium. That's dangerous to the world.
And if you
wanna
remember
go
correctly,
out?
last like just 4 months
It's
ago
hot.
in April,
You've
March and
been,
April,
huh?
the
You
Congress
just want
had
your
this big
biscuit?
debate, and finally Senator Corker and Cardin, who we just showed, Corker is a Republican, work out a bipartisan deal.
like
They
the
actually
biscuit?
passed a thing to give the president a little bit more time, and then the
Would
president,
you like to wait
after
so she
asking them
sees
to
you
do
get your
that,
biscuit?
bypasses them and goes
that
directly
better?
to the UN Security Council.
I mean, again, but add this to the Obama highlight reel or low light reel, something like that. He has no care whatsoever about what the Republicans think, what Congress thinks. This was something that he's bound and determined to put through, that carry out his marching orders, get this done, let's get this to happen, no matter what the consequences, and no matter what other
Kira!
members
Not
of
the U.S.
Don't be barking at
Everyone
people.
knows, Dana,
Come on.
We are so arrogant.
Kira!
We think that we are the world. We
Kira!
Are not the world. We are the world. We are not the world. We are the people. Do we really believe that the government
Kira!
of Russia and China and Germany and
Come
Britain
here.
and France don't want a nuclear-free Iran? Do we think that the Security Council, 15 countries to 0, that they are so naive that the Iranians pulled one over not just on Barack Obama, but on all of these world leaders? All of these.
Yes, they did. Yes.
The League of Nations could have averted World War II.
I know.
The League of Nations was passed by
know.
the rest of the world. Woodrow Wilson brought it to the
They were
Congress of the
fucking
United States.
crazy
They
human
defeated
beings
it.
talking,
we never
right?
joined the League of Nations, which
I
collapsed.
know. I've
The
never put
international
Fox
order
on
collapsed.
for you
The
before,
Nazis
Foxy,
rose
baby.
up. We had World War II, the second global
but-
conflict in 2 decades. And I think that for
Oh no.
1 second,
Geraldo
why don't we just
Rivera
consider
is
these
talking
people good faith?
sense
Because they're not.
because he is on Fox and it is a total nonsense situation. And the dogs say, I'll just eat my biscuit,
The
please.
French, they all have something
Do you think
to
the
gain.
Germans-
Everyone at number 5, P5 plus 1. The one that doesn't get anything out of this deal is us. The other 5 do, and the Iranians.
Supposed to be.
Yes. And Nissa was Mimsy reincarnated. Well. We all recognized it. Yeah, all of us who knew Mimsy. Even the same body morph, except Mimsy was all black and Nissa was mostly white. But other than that, exact same temperament, personality. Yeah, they're from the same gene pool, but
Yeah.
it was her. It was her, because I could feel the same soul. There was a night in the late 90s when it was extremely cold here. They said it was the coldest night of the century. And I'm out in the trailer. The heaters are helpless against 20, 30 below wind chill. I'm sitting in the
I
chair.
know that night.
I'm sitting in the chair in my field jacket. I'm fully dressed in the field jacket inside and still a little cold. And Mimsy comes and crawls in my lap. And she had never done that
Big
before.
Ass dog.
She had never done that before, and she never did it after that. That was the one time, the coldest night of the century, when she crawled into my lap, and that's how I knew, that's how I got a real good reading on her soul. The coldest night of the century, when she crawled into my lap, and that's how I knew, that's how I got a real good reading on her soul. And I recognized it again, almost instantly in this. And it proved to be true. I mean, I recognized it when she was a pup. And she grew up to be the negative twin of MC.
There's a shot for the conspiracy theorists. Look at that. Over there. Over there. Over there.
See, I have a whole shitload of dog stories I have to tell. It starts, the first dog I ever had was a Cocker Spaniel my dad brought home from a bar one night. Some guy in a bar was going, "You want puppies?" And it was a Cocker Spaniel. Pretty dog named Rusty. Thank God I checked the schedule on Turner. Rusty, Story of a Dog, playing this morning, and that means for the next however many weeks there'll be a Rusty dog movie every Saturday morning, which means I'm probably going to be missing the Bowery Boys from now on, because
It may also mean that Rusty's coming back.
maybe Rusty and I was too young, Suddenly I have a dog, and a dog is a thing that gets a 9-year-old in trouble.
Yeah.
A lot. The dog barks, the dog shits, and you're responsible for the dog. So, but I loved him. Of course I loved him. And then my dad, if I already told you this story, my dad got orders for Okinawa.
Wow.
And Okinawa, you can take your family to Okinawa, but you cannot take pets. So we found a nice home for Rusty, and a few weeks later my dad's orders got changed.
Oh no.
And he was being sent to Korea instead of Okinawa, and you do not take dependents to Korea. So we had to stay in America, and could have in fact kept Rusty, but they took me over to his new home. We parked across the street where you could see the backyard, the fenced-in backyard, a very nice house, and Rusty running and playing and having a great old time. And there's no way I could take him from that. There's no way I could even go over and say, "Hey man," because we'd already said goodbye, and it was better if he never saw me again. But that was I'll never have another dog in my life moment.
Yeah.
And though my little brother had a dog a few years later, it was very conscious in my mind that it was his dog. There was a dog in the family. It was my little brother's dog, and though I got in the biggest trouble once we moved to Junction City when the dog would bark ad at night because they wanted to leave him outside all the time, and he was lonely. And what's that? Hey, what's that? I mean, it's
Right, and he's
dog.
got to talk to all those other dogs that are outside.
And we're renting a place, and of course people complain about dogs barking, and that gets in trouble. And my dad drinks a lot, and he doesn't want people coming around and getting us in trouble. And anyway, that was my brother's dog, and that was the last dog until 1988. No dogs at all. Cats, lots of cats. Every chick has cats, multiple cats. They're all the chicks I found. This last 2 years is the first 2 years I've lived without a cat since memory.
Well, it's funny because my brother has had dogs ever since he was 7. The first one was Brownie, the first one was Princess. She had been hanging around the Shell station, and he begged my mother to please take her home, and the guy at the Shell station said, "Oh, she's just been hanging around here, and yeah, she needs a home," and so they brought home Princess. She was a little red dog, about that big, hard terrier something,
Yeah.
And then she had pups, and his closest dog, best dog, the dog that died in his arms, was Brownie. He was one of Princess's pups. And he's never been without a dog since then. Until 2.5 years ago, when the dog that he had, Nikki, got killed by a truck. And
That's how bear went. That's how our bear went.
Yeah. And he didn't really understand why Nikki was gone then, but last year, a year and a half later, after Nikki had gone, and he got so sick and ended up in the hospital for over a month, he realized that was why Nikki had to leave when she did, because she was, leaving space for him to have to get well,
Oh, got an itch. It's good seeing you, Foxy. Good seeing you, Foxy girl.